What is up, guys? Another episode of the Nicked Up Weekend. Nick Lindsay, Nick Macon, Chris over there in the dungeon, as I like to call it. The hottest place on earth, right there.
No, it's where I work at the hottest.
All right.
Anyways,
it was a figure of speech. So we will get to kind of the news at hand. So this is going to be one of those time-sensitive episodes. Dun, dun, dun.
Sure.
Yeah. So, Dolphins. Tannehill's out, looking like he's going to be out for a while, probably at least a year. I don't know why he didn't get knee surgery last year. That'll be another topic here in a minute. But the bigger question I have is this, because Jay Cutler's name has been thrown around like a bong at a college party, and I don't know if he's going to play for the Dolphins, if he's going to play for, he could play for the Jets, could play for the Dolphins, could play for any of these teams, or if he plays at all. He may just enjoy smoking cigarettes on the sideline with what's her name, with Moose Goose and whoever they're on with Fox. So the question I have for you, Macon.
Yes.
Tony Romo's name's also being thrown around, and he's also part of the same little kind of group that Jay Cutler is supposed to be a part of. Because Jay Cutler's going to be the sideline reporter. Who has a better chance of playing this year? Tony Romo or Jay Cutler?
I don't want to see any one of them be playing. I feel like a lot of the media is. I feel like this is more of people just throwing around names, just for the sake of throwing around names and creating buzz that we as fish are biting into, as their baits. I think. If it was my guess, I would say that Cutler and Romo are just more enjoying retirement. They're happier where they are now, as opposed to playing football. Playing football is hard. Tony Romo had all of his bones destroyed. He basically has no more bones. Jay Cutler has a hot wife and didn't look as happy playing football. I don't think he was as unhappy playing football as everyone thinks he is, but I also think he's happier where he is now, just reporting on games and chatting up with his hot wife.
I think Cutler literally was just in there for the money the last couple of years.
I don't know. I think his body language doesn't help him, but I don't think it was as bad as people. It was easy to make fun of Jay Cutler. I don't think how much of him actually not enjoying football was the case. I think Jay Cutler did enjoy football. I think he just enjoys the life he has now more. So I just think people are just trying to create buzz for quarterbacks because everyone loves talking about quarterbacks. I think that's
the best.
The most valuable.
The best.
They're the most valuable.
Anyways, so I've already got you annoyed. We're only like a minute and a half in, man. Anyways, so between those two, who you don't want to see play at all, obviously they got a better chance. They got probably a worse chance at playing this than Colin Kaepernick. I think Kaepernick will get picked up by someone here soon.
I think Kaepernick would be a better football choice than both of them. But
I do too. He kind of really had a drop off the past couple years.
Not as much a drop off as you think with the stats that he.
I get he put up decent stats, but you have to also remember.
And the 49ers outside of Colin Kaepernick are really bad at football on offense.
Yeah.
Really bad.
Yeah. Exactly. I'll give you that. But I also give you this though. So when everyone keeps throwing out he led a team to a Super Bowl type of thing, that team was really good.
But he led a team to the Super Bowl because now this is where things get interesting about how his skill level, because he led the team to the Super Bowl because not many people had tape on him. Here's my unbiased take on Kaepernick, where he led the team to the Super Bowl and he was that good because teams did not have the jump on him. They don't have the scouting report. They didn't understand how to defend a player like him. Then all of a sudden, teams were realizing he's a one receiver type of player. He locks on to one receiver He's not good at going through progressions, which is what you ultimately need, in my opinion, to be
but he
a
brought it
really
back.
successful quarterback.
He went to the NFC Championship game the year after, though.
Right, and okay, very good. But then again, to your point, he still had a really good team around him.
I think there's a lot of.
So then, but again, and he was going up against other teams still who hadn't faced him as much. Over time, the way to defend Colin Kaepernick was being mastered, and just running quarterbacks in general, Griffin, Kaepernick. Over time, that formula to neuter run first quarterbacks was mastered by D coordinators around the league, and now they're not completely ineffective, or they're not completely terrible, and they're not backup quarterbacks like many people think Kaepernick is skill level wise. I don't think he is, or if he is backup, I think he's one of the best. But in terms of just sheer skill, but they're not chopped liver, and they're not the greatest thing ever either.
I think there's got to be said something about the fact that there's a difference between run first and pass first scrambling quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers is a pass first, always looking to pass. He scrambles around everywhere. He makes plays.
Right, because
he makes plays.
Because run first, and the reason why run first will almost never succeed is because you have to go through your progressions.
Exactly.
You have to be able, and that's what Kaepernick, Griffin, Vic, their ultimate weaknesses were. In addition to the best part of ability, or one of the best parts of ability, is availability. And when you're running quarterback, you will get hit a lot. Succumb to injuries. Griffin and Vic fall in that category.
But the point I'm trying to make is Vic, when he came back, he had what was weird is he went and spent 2 years in prison. He came back and he basically had reinvented his game to where he became pass first. He still ran a lot. He was not how would you say run first like he was before. So I think if Kaepernick, honestly, I'll tell you the truth. If I'll just be straight honest. If Kaepernick goes and he works with basically a throwing motion coach, and he gets all of that well and secured and gets all the mechanics.
It's not throwing motion. It's the ability to read your progressions. That doesn't have to do with throwing motion.
Yeah, but whenever he reads a wide open person, he overthrows him by 20 yards because he got a little bit too much air on it. I mean,
well, also he doesn't know how to throw a ball slower than 90 miles an hour.
I mean, he dropped some dimes the first couple of years too by throwing the ball 90 miles an hour.
So yeah, but that's it too. But I mean, and we might get into, but that's not. But so bottom line is his skill level is not why he's not in the NFL.
I think it has something to do with it. I think if he was,
no, it doesn't. No,
if he was extremely talented, like the players who eventually got released. Greg Hardy at that time was seen as a very talented defensive end. If he was extremely talented like that, I think he would be in the league. Whenever Greg Hardy's numbers fell and they dropped off, is whenever no one wanted to have anything to do with him. Also, because all the stuff that came out with Greg Hardy.
I think.
Hold on. I got more other points to make. Okay. So you've got Ray Rice, kind of the same thing too. They were willing to ignore it until the video came out. When the video came out, they were done. And I get what you're saying. Colin Kaepernick's not a criminal. He's not. What he did is by his, basically by his First Amendment rights, it's okay with what he did. He didn't break any laws. But something that I mentioned to you and I've talked to you about is just because the First Amendment says it's okay, the First Amendment does not protect you from basically from
Correct.
Controversial statements.
Correct.
From the public, social public.
Here's my. I'm saying something that's pretty controversial. That in terms of why is Colin Kaepernick not signed? It doesn't have to do with race, because the race aspect. I mean, you saying Ray Rice and Greg Hardy specifically. Pac-Man Jones is a great example too. It's they get second chances. There's a lot of African American players who get second chances because they do criminal activity. It's not that.
Le'Veon Bell.
Here's the controversial part. It's more American. It's more American, patriotic to, or fall in line with American values, to have a domestic violence charge and be apologetic about it than it is American to be anti-American and unapologetic. This is a nationalism issue. It's not race. The NFL audience is more patriotic and nationalistic about as any subculture anywhere. This is about national pride. This is not about racism.
And I'll agree with you somewhat on
The
that.
the general NFL audience is about as patriotic a group of people as you can imagine.
I'll agree with that. But the problem though with what you're saying is
if Greg Hardy was anti-American and unapologetic about it, he would not get it a second chance. He got a second chance because he was seemingly apologetic. He was also beating his wife.
Explain Tim Tebow then, because Tim Tebow kind of got blackballed by the league too, but he got blackballed for the opposite way because he's a circus follower.
Because scouts, GMs, coaches didn't think Tim Tebow was good. Scouts, GMs, coaches think Colin Kaepernick is good.
All they did was win.
I'm talking about the people who are smarter than both of us, who know more football than both of us combined.
Just because they have a college degree and they're in that position doesn't mean they're smarter than both of us.
No, smarter about football. They know what they're seeing on the football field, and they know what I'm talking about. The coaches, the people who make the ultimate decisions.
Don't get me wrong. I get what you're saying. Listen. If this was about pure skill and talent, he would be on a roster.
And owners want Tim Tebow more than NFL owners want Tim Tebow more than they do Colin Kaepernick.
What?
NFL owners. If you asked owners,
they probably would because of jersey sales.
Yes.
Yeah. But hold on though. The point I'm trying to make is this. I agree with you somewhat. I agree that it is very much a it has to do with his political stance. It has to do with being in a lot of people's eyes very anti-patriotic, which is, I mean, that's his First Amendment rights. He can do that.
Right, but I agree. And again, when it comes to this issue, I am very much on both sides in terms of I understand both sides. When it comes to Kaepernick being signed, I get both sides so much that I'm just like, okay, if an NFL owner wants to argue, that's their right to say that they don't want Kaepernick. I get why the people who are pro Kaepernick are mad. I think
another thing too is there's a lot of families who are military families.
Yeah.
Like my grandpa was in the Air Force for 27 years.
Absolutely.
When he did that, back then my grandpa was still alive. And when he did that, my grandpa literally said, he called him an ungrateful, a few other words in there too.
Right.
But he basically said, he had friends, he had family, he had really close buddies who died for that flag, and he's over there, basically turning his back on it. So and that's I think, and this is the point I think that we're both trying to get to here. He isn't a backup quarterback for someone right now. Not because of his talent. He's talented enough to be someone's backup. He's not talented for me to be a starter.
Oh, he's talented enough to be Jacksonville's starter. He's talented enough to be the New York Jets starter.
That's
you can't deny. But the point.
Oh,
the
point
Jets.
Stands. Okay, the Jets.
The point stands. It's these and the owners are rich and white.
Okay. That's where you lose me.
No. But think about it. There is statistical evidence that people who are rich and white, they think and lean politically a certain way. There's a certain for the most part they have a certain amount of.
Art Rooney's the biggest one that I can throw at you. Roger Goodell's another one. The NFL has become pretty liberal, if I'm not mistaken. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Not by and large.
Art Rooney was.
Okay.
The Rooney family.
Rooney, sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just throwing that out there. I'm just throwing that out there.
I'm talking by statistical.
Jerry Jones is the only one who came out and said that if you do not stand for the national anthem, you're off the team, basically.
But by statistical, I mean, like, you'll have, of course, Art Rooney and a few others who are liberal, but for the most part,
I don't agree with you. Paul Brown is another one, Seattle Seahawks owner. I mean, Jed York is another one.
Okay,
49ers owner.
Now you might be right in terms of their political stances, but I bet I can assure you what the owners are concerned about more than anything, because they are rich and they're billionaires, is they are super competitive and frugal with their money, aside from Jerry. And the moment anyone, even though the ratings don't support this per se, the threat of people leaving, watching the NFL or not watching the NFL because a team signs Colin Kaepernick, that just the threat of that scares these super competitive owners who want all the value, as much value as possible for their team, threatens them enough that a guy like Bisciotti's like, no, I don't want to lose people, even if it's just a little bit of people.
And
Bisciotti on the Ravens is just...
It's the same way both sides. The one's over here and one's over here. I get it. You know, Tebow, Kaepernick, way different.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm throwing out there is this. They're both a circus. They both create a lot of positive, negative press, per se. And they're very polarizing figures, both of them, okay? And you can make an argument that Tebow really didn't do anything except kneel in the end zone. That's all he did. I mean, he was just open about his faith. If you have a problem with that, you have a problem with that.
Where the comparison loses me is that you didn't have people like Harbaugh and Newsom and other GM head coach pining for Tebow.
I know, I get that, and I get that Tebow wasn't as skilled. I get that the skill level. I'm not going to give Kaepernick that much above Tebow because they're both run-first quarterbacks. It's just they both have horrible throwing motions. They both have accuracy issues. It's just one's a little faster.
And I'll just leave it at this. I just think the gap between Kaepernick and Tebow among people that watch football and have studied football for a long time is a lot greater of a gap than you think it is.
All right.
And they're the ultimate people who decide, the coaches and GMs. Yeah. So I'll just leave it at
that. So moving on, the Hall of Fame game was this last Thursday. No one cares. I'm even a Cowboys fan. I don't really care. It was just mainly getting football out there.
You talked with Rudy and them about it for 1,000 years.
No, they were mentioning some. There's some bright things. There's some, and then I thought about it today.
You do care.
There was. Somewhat. It's not.
It's okay to care. It's okay.
No.
It's okay to be happy that they won.
I'm talking about. I care about some of the players, how some of the players did, but besides the overall game, I don't care.
You care. It's okay to care. It's okay. I'm happy.
Preseason, man. It's preseason.
So be happy about preseason.
We had to play 5 stupid games this year in preseason.
It was funny how you're like, I religiously watch the NBA because I watch that. I religiously watch the NBA, but I don't start until Christmas, and I was like. Do you religiously watch the NBA or do you only start till Christmas? I watched the NBA last year from day one and loved every bit of the Spurs winning during the regular season.
The point I was trying to make on the live show was I still watch the games, but the season doesn't start till Christmas for me.
But it's okay to watch the games before then and enjoy the wins.
Only because there's nothing on. That's the reason why. The problem is the NBA, the teams aren't really good until Christmas. That's the way I see it. But anyways, moving on. Hall of Fame. And this is just a point I'm going to drive home. So, yesterday, Jason Whitlock had pretty interesting comments to say about Jason Witten. I don't know if you saw it. I posted it on the page. He basically said that Jason Witten was, I'm paraphrasing here because I don't have the actual quote, but Jason Whitlock came out and said that Witten didn't basically do enough for him to be a Hall of Famer. This is all coming out from this Hall of Fame weekend. Everybody, the inductees are there. Jerry Jones is getting inducted. I don't care what you say about him as a GM. What he's done as an owner for the NFL is just significant. I mean, you're talking, he has brought in so much money.
Of course it's significant. Yeah. Who would argue that?
There's people who like to argue that. I say people, I'm not saying everybody, but there are mainly people who hate the Cowboys who like to argue that Jerry Jones was so detrimental as a GM, which he has been. He hasn't been a good GM. That it should outweigh what he's done as good for as an owner. So, anyways, though, I'm gonna get to this Witten point. So, he came out and he basically said he doesn't belong to be a Hall of Famer, and he said that he didn't do enough for him, and that look at how many touchdowns he's caught. If I'm not mistaken, it's like he's like 40 or 50 behind Tony Gonzalez, Antonio Gates, these incredible athletes at the tight end position. And he said that's the reason it doesn't belong.
Even though Gronk's like by far the best tight end of all time. I mean,
right now, Witten's ahead of him just a little bit.
No, it's like what Coward says, and Coward's right about this. Like, you don't need to listen to 5 albums of Adele to realize that she's amazing at singing. You just have to hear her like 3 seconds singing, and you're like, oh crap, she's amazing. It's like same thing with Gronk. You just know he's like. Gronk doesn't have
Gronk
to.
is not.
He's amazing.
This is the same problem with Kawhi.
You watch
the two-way
Gronk
player
for
thing.
just you watch Gronk for 1 year and you're like, oh wow, he's the best I've ever seen. It's like I don't need.
It's
to,
like
I don't
Aaron
need to
Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback I've ever watched, but Tom Brady's the best of all time.
I mean, you can debate either of them, and I have no problems with that.
So the main point I'm trying to drive home here is Jason Witten has played on some really bad teams. He has been the only target.
Okay.
He is, and this is something that Ray Lewis came out and he said basically that if you had to defend Jason Witten, you know that he has his little box. Jason Witten can be double, triple covered, and he's still going to get open. That's what Jason Witten's good at. Jason Witten is not physically dominant.
Okay.
He is not fast. He's not he's not speedy. He does have very good hands,
Mhm.
and I'm going to throw this out there right now. He as far as all the tight ends that are in the Hall of Fame, it's like Mike Ditka, Shannon Sharp, Tony Gonzalez. Forget other names, but just the really good tight ends.
Yes.
Kellen Winslow's another one.
Okay.
Jason Witten, if he got inducted today into the Hall of Fame, he'd be the best blocking tight end in there. And that's not even his passing, his receiving stats. If you ever sit there and you watch him block, it is incredible what he does day in, day out. And we're talking, there's some games, he'll have one catch, but that one catch is the game winner. I think that happened against the Eagles last year. So this is just me being a Cowboys fan and saying this. So obviously I have a biased standpoint, but there's a lot of things I agree with Jason Whitlock. But for him to come out and basically try to say that he had no flash, he didn't, how would you say? He didn't transcend the tight end position like Shannon Sharp did, Kellen Winslow did, Mike Ditka did.
Okay, for starters, the reason this point was made was, number one, what time of year is it?
It's Hall of Fame time. Football season.
But it's like the very, very beginning of football season.
Yeah.
Very, very beginning of football season. There's nothing happening in any other sport because baseball doesn't matter.
Well, it was also made because the segment before that was about Terrell Davis, and that's another thing I'm going to drive home to.
So anyway, number one, the point was made because it's a hot take.
It is.
And it's a slow time. Number two, I do agree with him in terms of the transcendence point.
He didn't transcend the game.
He didn't transcend the game. So
but there's something that's got to be admirable about doing your job, getting it done. He was an elite tight end for years.
Yes.
There's got to be.
I'm on your side that I'm on your side in terms of he's a Hall of Famer, but like in terms of just
changing the game.
In terms of trying to drive home shock value and putting your flag on a hot take, I get what Whitlock did.
I know. I do. I get what he was doing. I get what he was trying to say, but the point before that is he was trying to make a case for Terrell Davis. And this is where he loses me. Terrell Owens ranks on average statistically.
Terrell Owens?
Hold on. Terrell Owens. Listen for a second. Terrell Owens, not Terrell Davis.
Okay.
Terrell Owens, statistically on average, ranks like second or third in every receiving stat for a wide receiver. Okay? Only Jerry Rice is ahead of him. The fact that Terrell Davis was inducted this year with 2 good years, I get it. He had little years here and there, but 2 absolutely amazing years where he ran for 2,000 yards back-to-back. He basically got inducted because of that. So the question I have is this. Terrell Owens showed up year in, year out, got the job done, was arguably the best receiver in the league.
You forgot to mention to the audience who don't know Whitlock to take on Terrell Owens. Because Whitlock doesn't believe Terrell Owens is a Hall of Famer.
That's what I'm saying.
But the audience probably doesn't know that.
So, he doesn't believe that. He believes that Terrell Davis was more worthy of it only because of how bad of a teammate Terrell Owens was.
And that argument's bogus. It's the Skip Bayless, Jason Whitlock trying to plant your flag on this. He's a terrible teammate thing, which I mean.
Terrell Davis, what he did was here's the bar. Here's the bar for the NFL Hall of Fame. When Terrell Davis got elected, the bar got lowered.
Well, okay. What?
Yeah, Terrell Davis does not deserve to be in the Hall of Fame.
No, but you saying that Terrell Davis is the one person who got the bar.
No, because
here's what they're doing, or here's what Whitlock's making the argument. Because I see the pattern in Whitlock's process is he's voting on transcendence. Because even though Terrell Owens' stats are great, and I do believe he belongs in the Hall of Fame, and just like I think Witten belongs in the Hall of Fame, I don't believe Owens or Witten are transcendent.
Owens was transcendent. And Owens
don't-
changed the game.
No.
Owens was the first. Hold on. He was the first of the hybrid. Him and Randy Moss were the ones.
Randy Moss.
Hold on,
not Owens.
Owens and Moss. You can't say it was just Moss. Owens also was there. Owens was also catching the long ball. Owens was also the tall, big receiver who could get hit and hold on.
But Moss was better at it.
Ooh, this is the topic for another discussion. I think.
I mean, slightly, but
Moss
when you
was a better teammate. I'll give you that.
No, but I think when most people think of transcendent, deep ball, big
They
play
think of Randy
guys,
Moss.
they think of exactly. So, but that's why I mean, if we put Terrell Owens in a different time, then maybe he would be the transcendent guy. But I understand Whitlock's thinking in terms of, because Terrell Davis transcended the running back position from a statistical standpoint, in terms of how much running backs can do and that the big yardages, stuff like that.
You know how good the Denver Broncos offensive line was those 2 years? Hall of Famers.
Look, I'm just saying, and because I'm more agreeing with you in terms of who's a Hall of Famer, who's not.
I
But
know.
I'm just trying to explain to you.
What
I get what Whitlock's thinking. I don't agree with it, but at least I get it.
Anyways, so it looks like, it's just
Looks like a good episode of Lynn Sports in a deader time.
in a deader. Did you say dead?
I did.
More dead. I don't know. We'll have to look up the definition or the actual word we should have used there. So y'all look it up. Let us know in the comments what word we should have used.
Yeah.
Should have been like deceased or a deceased? I don't know. Anyways, the word escapes me. So y'all go ahead. Y'all comment. Y'all share this on YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe to us. It'll be somewhere around here. So go ahead and like us on Facebook too. Got to get those likes up. I still got 2 live shows a week. I'm opening up a gaming channel for live streams where you're going to probably see a more candid side of us. So kids be warned.
Mhm.
But so for all of us here at Lynn Sports, for Chris sitting over here doing all the post-production stuff, the one who actually works hard, I just talk. He is sweating too. Man, he is sweating. It looks like he has been sitting in hell for like 5 years now. But anyways, for all of us here at Lynn Sports, y'all have a great week. We'll see y'all next Saturday. And God bless America.